All right, if you'll join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was just saying, because you look at the rates on here. I want to hire them if they're engineers. $79 an hour. I don't know. We can get to it. Committee reports. Conservation Board.
Okay, the Conservation Board did not meet due to weather. However, that didn't release them from obligations. They did and are reviewing currently the report that was submitted during the Planning Board from the Hudson Highlands Reserve regarding Margaret Conroy's the analytic solutions responses to the full environmental assessment. So they will be reviewing that document and coming back with comments to the Planning Board. I also attended the Climate Smart Expo on April 3rd at the Desmond Fish Library. I presented the overview in regards to how the town is starting to actually enact its Climate Smart program under Coordinator Roberta Muller, and basically also was asked to speak a little bit about flooding. I have personal experiences with it, and obviously our particular town has certain dangers because over half our town is steep slopes, and therefore can seriously cause some stormwater issues if you're not on top of those. That particular day was excellent. It was run by the Philipstown Garden Club. Crystal Ford organized it along with Karen Ertl, who has been instrumental in helping us with our own Climate Smart program, getting it off the ground. Anywhere from the students from Garrison came forward with different ideas, energy efficient ideas. There were some excellent films, especially one regarding, Miami, which is having some serious flood problems and how they're really not seriously addressing any long-term issues. But the entire day was full of different people with different experiences, and it was very good. I really wish it could be programmed and taped so that a lot of people could see it. So I had mentioned to them that I think putting it on again would be an excellent idea. So hopefully they go forward with that. I also, in regards to dealing with climate smart and flooding issues, I attended the seniors meeting today. And in regards to obvious issues regarding not just flooding, but obviously we had a very rough month here, which may get mentioned in the meeting today, and obviously being prepared for these kinds of issues, these storm issues that come up, just to pretty much give the seniors a little idea of, think about, if you're going to shelter in place, which was comments by the board when they were evaluating these different storms regarding clothing. Obviously, you want to make sure, do you have a second source of heat? Food and water. Be prepared for the fact that if you're on well, your pump's not going to run. Battery radio, so you know what's going on. And then really seriously think about staying in place rather than traveling, because once you go outside, then you're going to face all the perils that you might not be seeing that is actually there, covered by snow and so forth, with downed trees and wires and so forth. Check on your neighbors, make sure that they're okay. Have a buddy system and so forth in place. And if you're the kind, obviously, which would fit more seniors, if transportation is an issue, make sure you arrange that ahead of time. And how are you going to actually get out if you need to? Because if a storm hits and isolates people in certain areas, it's going to be pretty devastating to be able to try to get out, that you might have to depend on each other in a particular area. And obviously, I stress the fact that they need to reach out to the board or anyone that is involved or responsible for these areas to say that they need help and so forth, so that help can be sent out there and so forth for their help. We did cover a couple quickly while I'm talking about that. We talked about defensive driving courses possibly that could be offered. Apparently, the person that did it for them is stopping now, so a few of them had approached me on that. So that may be something. They commented very highly on exercise classes that are being offered throughout the town. So I really say that the real plus there. Obviously, Amber Stickles was there with Cecily, and they were going over the rec department and all their events and so forth. But it's really it was very impressive. We had a meeting here on the 4th, getting back to Climate Smart, that involved setting up the green team. This is a special team that will actually evaluate Climate Smart program projects that are being looked at for the feasibility and potential for them to actually be utilized. Obviously, a lot of that comes down to also grants. We're looking hard right now at an EV charging station concept for here. We are up against the grant deadline of the end of May. We did have Greg Werner, the building inspector, with us as well, and we were actually walking around trying to look for a good location and the capability of doing it easily as far as hookup goes. And then, obviously, Roberto, who is the coordinator for this, will have to look into how that would work, how people would utilize it and so forth. But it's a good starting point, and obviously we want to really get going, look at what kind of points we can receive, because they help you towards receiving future grants that allow you to do additional work. So we started off very well, I think, as a town overall in the Climate Smart area. We do have, the meeting also included stormwater management, which I talked quickly about before. We are up against the end of the year. Each year, March to March, we go through a stormwater evaluation report. This is a multiple sewer system that basically consists of the Continental Village portion of the town. However, there are a number of other areas in the town that we watch out for, and we are looking to try to do some water quality testing and so forth, and we evaluate different portions of the town as well. This report is almost finished. It will go to the supervisor for review. I'm asking the board at this time to be placed on the May town board meeting. I will send if it's approved by the town board, I would send the request to Tina to be on for May's meeting and hold a public hearing. I'd like to get this report finished and placed up on the town web at least 10 days prior for the public to review. And then, obviously, if there are any comments from the public that we need to make changes and so forth, we would make those, and then obviously submit to the DC for the end of the month. And our next meeting is next Tuesday, the 10th.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks a lot. Recreation.
I attended the April 3rd meeting of the Rec Commission. The minutes and financial reports were read and approved. Amber reported that the new bus, the replacement bus, was scheduled for delivery this week. And the bus is slightly larger, which will enable travel programs to take more participants. The regular summer camp registration opened on March 12th, and almost every age group is filled with waiting lists. Some of the sports camps do still have some room, so if you're interested, you can contact the Rec Department at 424-4618. The Rec Department plans to open the park on April 20th, weather permitting, and the next meeting is scheduled for April 24th.
Thanks, John. Philipstown Communities That Care.
The Philipstown Communities That Care meeting was canceled this month due to weather. They will be meeting on April 25th, this time at 7 p.m. at the North Highlands Firehouse. And I believe Judge Reitz, Putnam County Judge Reitz, is going to attend and give an overview of the drug court, which is something that we're really interested in. And with our new drug coordinator, Danielle Pack-McCarthy, I have a great report from her as of 2 weeks ago on her progress. We have her set up with an office at the building department where she'll have office hours occasionally. We did finally get her a phone number and email address, so she's set to go with all her contacts. She's since met with New York creative art therapist Drina Fagan from Cold Spring with her office in Nelsonville. And she is willing to hire, Drina's going to hire a social worker intern to work under her and assist Danielle with the new position here. And Danielle's working on a job description for that social worker. So, these are all things that the community is contributing to this initiative. Also, Danielle met with Joe Plummer and Sandy McKelvey, who were trying to head up a teen center in town, and I know there have been a number of ideas passed around for that. She also attended the Haldane Wellness Committee meeting in order to introduce herself, and Haldane's working on a brochure for support staff resources and links to Putnam services, and she's urging them that the next printing should include the Philipstown Communities That Care website for resources, and we're working on getting all of that information on our website too, I believe, with her
There's some
communication.
stuff on the website. I still didn't have the telephone number.
Yeah, she just got it today. So, and she's also getting, working with our town judge, Camille Linson, to initiate some kind of idea about drug court for misdemeanor drug charges here in Philipstown. So, lots of work.
Good.
She thanks the community for their support and a great start to this.
Great, thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Planning Board.
Okay, I attended the planning board meeting on March 15th at 7 o'clock. We had a workshop. The planning board held a workshop at the Hudson Island Reserve. Steve Gabbard, the Philipstown attorney, gave an excellent overview of the secret process. He did this to ensure a few things. He did this to ensure that everyone in the planning board and the applicant was well aware of the concerns and the concerned citizens of how this process worked. He did an excellent job explaining the secret process, and he did a really good job. I think he explained it very well and answered a lot of questions that I had about it as well. So after the workshop was completed, we went into a public hearing. This was the last public hearing for this location. There was about 7 or so citizens that got up and spoke. It's basically the same concerns as everyone's been talking about over the last several months. Water runoff, wastewater, water from the horses, the horse manure, treatment plants and so forth like that. And also concerned about traffic, how this is going to affect the Haldane School District with the 24 houses that are going to be planned to be built up there. Also, as I indicated before, the Hudson Highland Trust will not hold an easement for this. The only way, they indicated at the meeting, though, they would hold it if they removed the 4 or 5 houses that are around the pond. So I don't know if the applicant's going to give that consideration or not. They did, though, take one thing from the North Highlands Fire Department. They are going to propose to have sprinkler systems installed in the homes up there. So that's a good thing. As I said, the public hearing was closed that day, but they still can take 30 days for written comments still to the planning board. So the 30 days is coming up April 15th. So that's the 30 days is almost over. Moving on to other business, we returned ESCO to Osborne 2700 Route 9, which is a Magazzino. There's also another public hearing from the Lake Surprise Camp. They're looking to do some improvements up there on the entranceway and also to stormwater management improvements as well as a delivery where all the trucks come in to make it a little bit safer for the trucks to come in to deliver the food for all the children up there. So that was considered a major project. Wetlands permit has already been granted, and there was no public comment at all, so the public comment was closed. Hearing was closed, excuse me. Robert Miller and Associates, service tech down at 1380 Route 9, he withdrew his application, so he's no longer interested in opening that business up there. Under old business, SEJ Realty, it's a Route 1510 Route 9 down by the old CK Trucking Building down there in Route 9 in 403, roughly that area. They were seeking additional use for light industry. They're going to do some steel fabrication in that area. A letter of compliance was obtained from the building inspector, and two illegal trailers will be removed. Negative seeker was declared, and the applicant was approved. One other last app on the agenda was James Copeland, 3052 Route 9, Cold Spring, the old antique store up on Route 9. He's just looking to get that changed from retail to office space. And the last few times we had site visits were canceled because of the storms and so forth, so a new site visit will be scheduled. The meeting was closed at 9:15. The next meeting will be held April 19th, 7:30.
Thanks, Bob. Zoning.
I attended the March 12th meeting of the ZBA. There was one public hearing for WHUD radio tower replacement, 22 Sky Lane. This is appeal number 911. Hearing was held and continued to the April 23rd meeting. Old business, Essex Green Incorporated, Douglas Lane, appeal number 910. The board reviewed the appeal after extensive public commented and voted unanimously to deny the appeal, 5-0. New business, Neve Group / Todd Burland, 22 Hudson River Lane, appeal number 913. This is for 2 variances for a pool and deck. The application was reviewed and found complete and scheduled for a public hearing on April 23rd also. Denise Grillo and Denny Clark, 28 Lanegate Road, Cold Spring, New York, appeal number 914. Side yard setback for a garage and kitchen addition. This app was found complete and scheduled for public hearing also on April 23rd. That's it.
Thanks, John. Highway.
I also have the highway report. Philipstown Town Board, Carl Frazenda, Highway Superintendent, work performed by the Philipstown Highway Department for the month of March. March came in like a lion with a capital L. The first nor'easter, Riley's winds, wreaked havoc on taking down numerous trees and wire lines. The Highway Department coordinated with Central Hudson, DOT, and County Emergency Services to make all roads safe and passable as soon as possible. Just 5 days later, nor'easter Quinn slammed us with over a foot of snow and more dangerous winds. The highway crew worked through each storm diligently, doing their job and keeping roads cleared, and winter was not over yet. March Madness continued with Winter Storm Toby. These are getting entertaining. Making conditions messy once again. Arriving later than expected, this storm brought less snow and winds, but just as much work keeping up with conditions. Once again, the crew did an excellent job keeping all roads plowed and cleared. In between storms, the crews have been out filling holes with cold patch on paved roads, while the greater crews filled holes on dirt roads. Where snow melting allowed, clearing of brush and chipping on the side of the road has started. The Highway Department received approximately 40 phone calls or faxes regarding road complaints and other road issues in the month of March. The Highway Department has spent roughly $4,600 in vehicle maintenance for the month of March. Carl Frazenda, thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Carl. Building and land acquisition, we will be meeting next week, John and I, with Justin Caker from Highland Architecture to finalize the plans for this building, get them ready to go out to bid. We are also going to rebid the window installation for this building. We have the windows, we need a qualified installer now, so things are moving ahead on this building. This is next. Putnam County Legislator,
She's on vacation.
good for her. Cemetery Committee,
Okay, obviously the storms have kept a lot of work from going on, except for recently. I think if you take a look at the, down the road here, we have our Mountain Avenue and Cedar Street cemeteries, especially Cedar Street after these storms, which are a lot of wind and so forth. I'd never seen so many branches down in Cedar Street Cemetery. So it was kind of scary to go in there at first. Thank God we didn't have any restorations that we have been doing in both cemeteries damaged. However, it was quite a mess. If you go look at that right now, you'll see a tremendous difference. They have been cleaned up greatly by our landscaping crew, Habitat, and they've been placed neatly outside by the roadway, and I've already talked to Carl from Highway for pickup. So both Mountain and Cedar are dramatically different in a very short period, and I want to applaud them for that, because it's very important for us to not only clean it up, but also I really like them to look their best for the Memorial Day Parade, as well, to honor our veterans. We also, there was some comments, I guess, when they had some people standing outside the schools or whatever, people were standing up on top of the General Morris crypt. And that, I think it's because people don't realize at the very top of that crypt is where the road is, and people mistakenly don't realize that that is. So we're gonna, we haven't actually been able to do a railing because the committee wants to do a replica railing, but it's very expensive. That's because it has to be custom and so forth. Maybe we'll have to take a look at a sign or whatever, but our meeting next Tuesday on the 10th, we will have some visitors as well, and we're going to be getting some Boy Scout assistance for some projects, which will be very much appreciated, and we're hopeful to come up with something there so that we can advise people, you know, of what's there. I really just don't think that they really realize that it's right on top there, but
maybe we can consider putting up a black aluminum, temporary fence that we could fund. And
Right.
just-
we do have, as John was able to get
Secured
the
some
Roy
They're
on
not
fencing.
Identical replicas. but-
No, but for
Yeah.
the meantime, I'm
Right,
sure it would
yeah.
serve, and maybe we can get a placard of some sort
Yeah.
identifying the
Yeah.
site, so
Okay,
let's,
Okay.
let's work on doing that.
all right. That's it,
All right, thanks, Mike.
okay.
Review of the minutes. Weekly Town Board meeting of January 17th, 2018. Second. All in favor?
All right.
I vote aye. Philipstown Depot Theater Annual Meeting of January 17th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? I vote aye. Monthly Town Board meeting of February 1st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Weekly meeting of February 21st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, sorry. Public hearing of February 21st, 2018, safe storage of firearms.
So moved.
An addition to that, the last speaker did not make the minutes. So I believe it's on the video, and I don't know, yeah, I think him was after Mr. Calamano. And those comments didn't make it into the minutes. So we can, I mean, I think we can get them from the tape or the video.
Let's go to the video.
So we'll do.
All right, with that,
Do we need a table list of next month?
no. Let's, with that amendment, I'm sure we can pass this, or at least accept the minutes.
Accept the minutes with pending changes.
Can I get a motion on the public hearing of February 21st, safe storage of firearms with the inclusion of the comments by Kimberly Connor?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Weekly meeting of February 21st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Monthly town board meeting of March 1st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? I vote aye. Agenda.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is a resolution adopting local law number 1 of 2018 entitled Safe Storage of Firearms.
Okay, we had a public hearing, a lengthy public hearing on this, I will say, at the Haldane School. Everyone was given the opportunity to speak. The board has had weeks to consider this law. Actually, we've had years to consider it. The only change that was made that evening was, under the penalty phase, each violation of this chapter shall constitute a misdemeanor upon conviction may be punished by a fine rather than will be punished by a fine. This is up, it'll be the judge's discretion. That is the only change that's been made to the law that was introduced at the public hearing. So, I'm in full support of this law. I think we had a good vigorous debate that night, and we're ready to move on it tonight. Any comment from the board?
Yeah, I'd like to say, too, originally I was not in favor of this law, this resolution. But after the public hearing and speaking to many people after the public hearing and also speaking to many people since then, gun owners, non-gun owners, and everyone everyone is in favor, says that this makes common sense. So it's only when you leave the house that your guns need to be locked. So I'm in favor of this.
Thanks, Bob.
I think there's hysteria on both sides of this matter right now, nationwide. And, there's hysteria at one end and the other. And I think somewhere in the middle, there's common sense stuff being done. And I think this is a common sense way to look at it. Whether it's going to affect anybody, whether it's going to help anybody, that's to be determined. But I think, if nothing else, it was educational for everybody. This has been the topic of conversation around town. And I think everybody, whether you're for it or against it, went home and said, where is my gun? Is it secured? As I said, I'm a gun owner. It made me change the way I secure my guns. So I think it's logical. Like Bobby said, most people are in favor. It doesn't take anybody's right to protect themselves away. So I am 100% supporting it.
And it's straightforward and simple. Okay, I know when you had a public hearing, there was a lot of questions. The first time we had a public hearing, there was a lot of questions about it. And I think this is straightforward, easy to understand, and it makes sense. And one thing I like to say, if we try to revisit this and say 6 months, 9 months down the road to try to improve it or strengthen it, I'll say right now that I will not support it.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Obviously, we've received probably close to 400 responses. I read all of them. I wrote down comments in regards to points for each side. I did take an exhaustive look, even though our attorneys did this very thing, federal, state, and county, because obviously under gun registrations, those three branches really handle these particular items. I wanted to make sure we didn't have conflicts with any of them. I found nothing that could conflict in there. And, again, to echo the other points, I mean, I thought about, I couldn't see a firearm safety instructor in this state saying, yes, if your gun isn't with you, you shouldn't lock it up. So that seemed very obvious to me. I wish personally that the county and the state would take a serious look at their own current regulations to adopt something similar to these. They went part of the way. I think they need to go further. I think I've fought safety all my life, industrial safety. I think it's critical to do. I think it's very important, and I fully support steps that clearly I don't feel impact anybody's self-defense at home. I looked at that issue. I thought about it, as the other board members did, and I really feel that this does not have any impact on your ability for self-defense in the house. Otherwise, I wouldn't have probably supported it. Okay, so with that, thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Nancy?
So, I mean, obviously, everybody knows how I feel, and I've spent good over a year learning about how you all feel, and what I determined, it's really not about what we feel. It's about guns. It's about injury. It's about death. And personally, I'm scared, and I think the rest of the country is, and the community has asked for this, and we're going to deliver. I think I would like to see a stronger law. I am really grateful to this board for their work on this and the coming together, and the community, both sides. You know, we came together several times on this, and we shared facts, details, scenarios, but again, what it really comes down to is the guns. And you know, I had one final awakening today when that last email came today, and it was from an organization, so I could name the name. It's not a person, so there's no privacy issue, from the Putnam Duchess Sportsman's Rifle Association. So no personal name assigned to it, but this organization. And they bullet pointed issues that they have with this law. And in it, one of the bullet points was it's a burden for us to require a gun owner to purchase a gun lock. So therefore, we have gun owners who are not locking their guns. And, well, after I read that, I got in my car and I went up to Walmart and I cleaned them out. And these are free, and we'll have them here at Town Hall when they run out. We'll have more. These come in a 3-pack if you own more than one gun. These are $3.97 a piece, and you will be complying with the law if you purchase one of these. Here, I'll put this nice little
Who knew there'd be door prizes?
It's Montgomery swag. But again, I'd like to thank the community. Your input is vital to the way this board works and represents the people. And I look forward to working on this issue and continuing to work on it as we see. You know, I would like to go with Mike over to the county and pursue that avenue. And, you know, I think we'll come to a point, maybe not unanimously, where we all understand if your gun's not on you, it should be locked up. If it's not on your person, if you're not bearing your gun, it should be locked. And I intend to pursue that. So thank you.
You know, there's been a lot of comment that, you know, we're opening ourselves up to lawsuits, but we are on firm legal ground with this law. There's no doubt about it. It's been fully adjudicated, and we are not opening ourselves up to any lawsuits, anything that's going to have standing in court, and that's been settled. There's been stricter laws in this past all around the state of New York. This is case law at this point. So with that, I would entertain a resolution adopting local law number, is it number 1 or number?
It's 1.
Number 1 of 2018, how appropriate, safe storage of firearms.
So moved.
Second.
Want a roll call on this, Tina?
Yes.
Roll call. Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Leonard.
Aye.
Councilwoman Montgomery.
Aye.
Councilman Van Tassel.
Aye.
And I vote aye. With that, this becomes law in Philipstown. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Hudson.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. That's what I couldn't see.
Your guitar.
All right, moving right along.
The next item is a resolution accepting the resignation of Annette P. Flaherty as court clerk effective April 6, 2018. And she sent a letter to the judges and the town board. This letter is to officially give notification of my resignation as the town of Philipstown court clerk effective end of business day, Friday, April 6, 2018.
All right, it's with regret that we will be accepting the resignation of Annette Flaherty. She's been a great court clerk here, super diligent, and everybody knows she was very proficient at her job. But she has obtained another position, so she will definitely be leaving. So with that, I would take a motion on the resolution accepting the resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Regretfully, second.
All in favor? I vote aye. Bob?
I'm just going to abstain on this one.
Okay.
Better.
Abstention, yeah, right.
Okay, the next item is a resolution authorizing Town Clerk Miranda to advertise for a full-time court clerk position.
All right, following this resignation, obviously, we will need another court clerk, so if I could get a motion authorizing town clerk to advertise for that position.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye.
Next item is a resolution approving the 2017 Conservation Board Annual Report and authorize Town Clerk Miranda to forward said report to New York State DEC.
All right, this is something we do every year. It's basically a synopsis of all the work that our Conservation Board has done during the year. Contains a lot of detail.
There's 15 applications done. A couple of them, obviously, are the Homeland Tower, the cell towers, the Hudson Highland Reserve, which are going into the next year. But there were 11 approvals out of those 15 given out this year. So this board, Conservation Board, does work with people, and the record shows.
Yeah, and I mean, as do all our boards. If you come in with a reasonable project that, is within the parameters of our codes, you'll get approval. And if you come in prepared, you'll hasten your approval. So I know we take a lot of heat at times for people coming in unprepared and basically blaming it on the boards. But if you're prepared and you come in, you'll get through the process. And if you ever have an issue, you can always call a board member. We are here to advocate for you. So, our thanks to the Conservation Board. This is a lot of work, a lot of work.
No question about it. A lot of work.
Yep. So get a motion on the resolution approving the 2017 Conservation Board Annual Report and also authorizing Town Clerk Miranda to forward to the DEC.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you.
Okay, next item is a resolution authorizing a donation in the amount of $300 to the Nelsonville Fish and Fur for this year's fishing day, scheduled May 6, 2018. Kissing Day, yeah.
This is something we do every year. It's a great event. I mean, everybody has a ball out on Fishkill Road. So we're happy to be able to support this with this very nominal donation. Could I get a motion authorizing the donation in the amount of $300 to the Fish and Fur Fishing Day?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. See, we support sportsmen.
You think we can go to that? Probably not.
You? No ringers. All right.
Okay, the next item is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to sign the extension of the Memorandum of Understanding between the town and the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council for a grant named Philipstown Depot's Theater Looking Swell, and this is non-protunct.
We've already done this. A couple of hiccups along the way with this that have caused some delays, but I think we're going to get over the top with this. So if the board authorized me to sign the extension of the memorandum, non-protunct, that'd be great.
Yes, please.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Okay. The next is a resolution establishing the standard workday and reporting resolution for elected officials Richard Shea, Tina M. Mirando, and Stephen Toman. We've done this about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Here we are.
here we are.
This is something that's required by New York State comptroller, and it's basically a rote piece of business. So if I could get a motion authorizing the resolution establishing a standard workday and reporting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Oh, roll call? Oh, sorry about that. All right, Councilwoman Montgomery.
Aye.
Councilman Leonard.
Aye.
Councilman Van Tassel. Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
And I vote aye.
The next item is a resolution directing Ron Gaynor, Town Engineer, and Stephen Gaba, Town Attorney, to research and draft a local law changing the zoning for the Magazzino 2700 Route 9, Cold Spring, New York. And this is also a roll call vote.
Okay, again, I can't say enough in favor of Magazzino, and if you've seen this month's chronogram, we have a local hero on the front. I got a shout out to Tino Iannitelli, because that was just a great photo, and I know he probably didn't want to take that picture, but it's a great shot. Exactly. Remove that ban. But congratulations, Magazzino, and that's a real testament to the guys who worked there. I mean, it's great to have that go down in history, because that was a real piece of work. So the zoning amendment, whereas certain real property, town of Philipstown, Route 9, this is Magazzino, within an office, commercial, mixed-use district, and whereas said property is developed with a structure called Magazzino, which houses an art collection, in order to make available for public viewing and enjoyment, whereas the use of museum is not recognized by the town by use tables in town code, whereas the town board wishes to investigate and consider possibility of adding a museum, but this is not true, because they don't want to be called a museum.
It's more of a public assembly place. So they'll explore what it needs to be.
Okay.
Let's just say that.
All right, well, we're entertaining a change of,
Yeah.
a change of zoning from mixed-use, commercial, office, industrial. So with that, could I get a motion on the resolution to investigate that?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, roll call.
Roll call, here we go again. All right, Councilman Leonard.
Aye.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Montgomery.
Aye.
Councilman Van Tassel. And I vote aye.
This is basically just to start the process, right? Because it's
Yeah,
got to go through the
it'll
planning
have-
board.
Exactly,
Planning
yeah.
board's got to come back to us, like we did up on
Yeah, it's good.
ESP, basically,
And we're,
right?
ultimately, we're the ones who adopt it, but in order to have any change of zoning, it goes through the town board. But this is, again, yeah, it'll go through a public hearing, the whole,
Yep.
it's a local law.
Like we did for ESP.
Yep.
Basically same thing.
Yep.
Okay, the next item is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to draft a letter supporting the preservation of Hill Agri Farm property located next to the Putnam County Golf Course.
I think it's really important to, make sure that we preserve historic locations, not only in Philipstown, but throughout the county. There's a motion or a movement to preserve Hill Agri Farm, this historic farm on the other side of the county. I just think it's a no-brainer to go ahead and write a letter of support for that effort.
Yeah, obviously, this goes back to the French-Indian War. This particular farm was the first farm in Putnam County. It was disputed quickly back and forth. The Indians lost their rights. Others purchased it. They came back. They didn't even realize they had after they fought in the war. Then there was battles. Astor, who was a very rich real estate magnate, took this to court in England also 3 times to the U.S. Supreme Court. There was a prenuptial that caused a great deal of issues when the woman passed away. I mean, this is really a Peyton Place kind of story, but it gives a tremendous history and a lot of history also to the creation of Putnam County. A lot of this was prior to it, so the records are sitting in Dutchess County and then Putnam County. It's just fascinating. They happen to have a 1901 wedding dress still from the building, because some of the ideas is to create like a wedding plan where you can have the wedding start off like in a golf course, because this is all county-owned property. And this is an old Greek farmhouse, and then you have the nice old barn and so forth, and there is a historic cemetery, which I'd be interested in keeping as well up. And this could all be tied in, and maybe the revenue from that could be used to other towns to be able to provide some assistance to historic structures and so forth that are really lacking money. So this could be really like a hub historically to help a lot of other areas in the county get started or improve and so forth. So this is really something that the county really needs to address. Right now, the building is not being maintained. It should be painted and sealed properly. Vandals are getting in. It's a piece of history we don't want to lose. And I think we've said this in other cases. This is the time to act and do something now and make decisions to save our past.
All right, thank you. So with that, the board authorized me to write the letter of support, supporting the preservation of Hill Agger Farm.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Who wrote this letter to us?
Please appear.
Oh.
Members of the Hill Agger Farm Preservation Committee.
Association. Gotcha.
All right,
If you want help writing that, let me know.
yeah. I know what you think of it.
No, you're a good writer, and that's, I mean, I used to do this for a living, but you're still a much better writer
Thanks.
than I am.
Thanks for making me feel small.
Okay. The next item, Town Clerk Miranda to rescind the appointment of Allison Shea as Deputy Town Clerk and Deputy Tax Collector.
Okay,
We're not losing Allison.
we're
That
not
was-
losing Allison.
This is because she has to be an elector of the town by law to be my deputy,
All right,
and that's not the case.
yeah, and we had hired her as a floater position, so it's she'll continue in that.
Continue to float.
I can float. But this is Tina, so we don't need to move on this
No,
one.
it's fine.
That's it.
My appointment.
All right,
Okay, and the next item is a resolution authorizing the release of escrow funds to Allspan, 2700 Route 9, Cold Spring, New York. And we have a letter from the Planning Board Secretary, Tara Percocello, that at the March 15th meeting of the Planning Board, a motion was made by Neil Toman to return the escrow, and seconded by Peter Lewis.
all right, well, we have this authorization from the planning board, so if I get a motion authorizing release of escrow funds to Allspan.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? And I vote aye.
Okay, the next item, Sandy Ball to address the town board with regard to snow emergencies.
Here it comes.
Hi, Sandy.
So I'm Sandy Bull. I'm one of the Garrison Fire District Commissioners. We had our meeting last Monday, and they wanted me to address the town board because they feel like there's a lack of communication between the board and our district commission board. So I just want to explain too, our area got hit harder than obviously this side did. We ended up with 18 calls over that span, and there were so many calls going into 911 that they stopped our communication with 911 and we started communicating strictly with Battalion 19. So that went back and forth. We did open up a shelter because we were requested by the EOC at the county.
Can I stop right there?
We
We are entirely confused by that.
Well, I'm going to explain something really quick. Let me go a little bit further. Because one of our chiefs was actually out of the area, and they contacted him first in the Virgin Islands. And
Calling supervisor of the town.
they didn't know he was out of the
Virgin
area.
Islands.
They didn't know he was out of the area, but he was out of the area. And he explained to them that we had a shelter at the rec center. Because I talked to him today about that, because I didn't know that they'd contacted him.
As did
Eh.
I spoke to them, I was on a elected officials community call, it was a roundtable call
Yeah.
on Sunday, and they said that they were going to open up a shelter at the Garrison Firehouse. I said, I applaud the Garrison firemen for doing this, but we have a shelter, a Red Cross certified shelter at the rec center, ready to go. And they just said, okay, moving right along,
Well,
move to the next item.
It's interesting because then they called the chief, Jim, that was here, Jim Erickson, is this first assistant chief. And he told them, that we have a Red Cross shelter at the
The
community,
Red Cross
at the rec
brought
center.
supplies from another area by tractor trailer to your firehouse. And we have 3 trailers.
It was,
that say
I saw
Red
the trailer
Cross.
over there because we drove by
There's
there.
actually 3 of them now.
I just saw the one out front.
At the Red Cross.
But
And the
so-
generator the county paid to install.
So they briefly talked to us about, and the chief told them that we did have a rec center. They said they'd get back to us. And they called back 10 minutes later after they talked to Jim. And they said, will you open up? And we're going to say yes every time because
course.
we're going to help our community and the neighboring communities. And I just want to say that it really didn't cost us anything because we were manning that station around the clock because we had so many emergencies we had to. So the Red Cross came in, they brought in the cots, they brought in the blankets, they paid for the food. They paid for my food while I was there. What's that?
You ended up with 2 people from Putnam Valley.
We ended up with 3 people, but we also got, just so you know, we also got people throughout the day while we were there. The house across from the station was without power for 2 or 3 days. They came over to get water, lots of water, to flush their toilets because their power remained out, like an isolated house. It was really weird. One house, no power. And I told them, come over, take showers if you need to. So we had some people warming up throughout the day. So we had, but spending the night, we had 2 people from Putnam Valley and someone from somewhere else. Yeah. So,
And I just have to interrupt because I feel like you're here feeling like you have to explain yourself to us. And by no means, we are so appreciative that the Garrison Firehouse, this is a very big problem with Putnam County. This is emergency response 101.
But-
When they don't call the supervisor and inform him that they need a shelter in our town, that's basic. What level training do these people at the county have?
I did get
Who
called with
is-
an offer of dry ice.
Who is the incident commander on this? Who was the IC on this?
I think it was Ken Clare up there, but I don't know for sure.
It was Ken Clare, but
Yeah.
and Anthony Sutton. I spoke to Barbara Scuchamara, I spoke to County
Yeah.
Car 19, and we really need to have a meeting and to figure this out.
Well, our area too, like the chiefs in our area should be getting together and talking. Like nobody came and talked to us even after the storm to do a post haste. Putnam Valley had 72 calls. To our 19, they had 72. So they were getting hit really hard.
It was very isolated because I think North Highlands had 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I know Cold Spring had wires down. I apologize for not open up the LECC if you feel that we should have. My opinion was that night, there was no need for anybody to be sheltered. You were in your house. Red Cross teaches best place to shelter is in your home. Even if you lose power, unless you go below 20 degrees, you should stay in your house.
Yeah, there were some elderly people that were pretty cold, though. I will tell you this,
Where did they
the
call?
communications didn't really get out, even for them to come us, because there were a lot of people over in Putnam Valley at the senior center that went home to their very cold houses, and they wanted to stay somewhere, but they didn't really get the word out
That's
to
my
everybody.
question. If the need definitely was in Putnam Valley for a
Yeah.
shelter, why didn't the county open up a shelter at the Putnam County Ambulance Corps or the Putnam Valley Firehouse?
Yeah, I
That's
can't
the
answer
thing.
that.
And I will, I talked to Jim, I knew Fred was out of town, but I spoke to Jim, and I said, Jim, you've called me at 2 a.m. to go to the rec center to open up the building because you had an automatic fire alarm.
Mm-hmm.
If you felt that the LECC should have been open, you should have called me.
Yeah.
So, and, I'm not going to second guess. He's the chief, and you guys did a fabulous
Well,
job.
we left it up to they requested, we left it up to the county that
No,
was,
I mean the
running
local,
it.
The one that we've
Yeah.
opened up. We opened up in Irene. We've opened up in Sandy. We opened up in the October snowstorm.
Because during those storms, way back to Sandy, way back to Irene, we were pretty much on our own and survived and did a really good job with emergency response. We've got
That was here for Sandy, too.
3 people on this board who have emergency preparedness, response, EMT, firefighting experience. This is by no means a Garrison fire. We are so grateful. You guys did a great job. The board saw, your commissioners saw the letters that I wrote to the county dating back to 2011, 2015, writing to the commissioner, writing to the county executive, asking them to please communicate with us during the storm. Please inform us when your EOC is open. Duchess informs me when their EOC is open. They inform me of upcoming weather conditions, anything that, I have a direct contact with the director of Duchess EOC.
Right.
You've seen these letters that I've written to the county over the years,
Yeah.
to nothing, to nothing, to what we had the other night, where now the community is seeing things posted on Facebook bashing the town board because of our lack of response.
Amber
Well, I
was-
would never,
We've
I
been
wouldn't
trained-
bash you guys, I mean, really.
I've been trained at FEMA. I went down to Emmitsburg for a week and trained in this. We know what we're doing, and to not have that communication with the county is just.
The part that scares
Just
me.
business as usual.
The part that scares me is
Yeah.
if we really needed to shelter,
Yeah.
how disorganized is the Red Cross that they didn't even know that they had the cots for 500 people at the rec center.
They
That-
had a
listen,
new person on.
I-
The county knows. The county made this call.
I just want to make two more points. One is, I don't know if you guys are aware, but we had some other problems with roads too, because we had a big tree down. 9D was closed for a while. We had a big tree down by St. Basil Academy. We had a tree down between the rec center and the bridge. And we also had 403 closed with trees and lines. So just a thought that it was kind of a closed-off area in such that way the trees were down and the power lines were down.
We've had that before.
Yeah.
In the past, it's been more than trees, it's been bridges are gone. And we had,
Yeah,
during
Snake Hill, I
Irene,
remember Snake-
Continental Village was completely isolated
Yeah,
at one point.
I
So-
remember
Anybody
that.
in emergency response knows that the supervisor is the incident commander locally, and the fact that he was not notified is just.
The only
I
other thing
can't
I wanted to
accept
say
it.
is, like, when you do
It scares the
open,
hell out of me, because what are we going to do in the future?
when we do open, we're hoping that, because I don't know if you're aware too, we had an issue at the train station. So we had upper station and lower station closed around 4 o'clock when the commuters were coming in. We had a tree down on, I think it was Upper Station Road,
Well,
had the
all
tree.
these-
We had lines down on Lower
Yeah, these
Station Road.
closures were an hour, 2 hours.
So my point is, we're hoping that when you guys do open, that you can help us redirect resources, like Central Hudson to
The
that
other
road
thing
to get
that
it open in a
I've been
more timely
Exactly what we
fashion.
did when we opened
The
it
other
in
thing
the
I've been
past.
trying for, since Adam Stiebling was the
Yeah,
emergency
I
coordinator.
remember Adam.
Was to get the Central Hudson representative in the EOC goes to Carmel.
Yeah,
All of his customers are in Philipstown. So
Yeah.
I've been trying to get him.
That would be good,
Instead of him
actually.
being there,
Yeah.
put him at our EOC, and then let us, he can direct,
yeah,
the
because we had
resources.
trouble prioritizing that, getting him into the right
It's not
spot.
helpful to get on a conference call with 50 other supervisors
agree.
and talk to Central Hudson.
It doesn't
You're not
mean
going to get
Central
any.
Hudson will prioritize based on traffic flow. They
Yeah.
base it on getting supply to the most people and the quickest, the quickest
Yeah.
route.
And I have to say, they did a good job.
Yeah,
an
they did
excellent
really,
job.
they did a good job. you're right,
NICEC
yeah.
and Con Ed clearly were
And you
far
guys
way
did it.
behind them.
Thank you. You guys did a great job. It was,
Hats
You're
off
welcome.
to the Garrison Fire Department.
Okay.
yeah.
But it's aggravating for us because, and for everyone it should be, it's a waste of resources to have the Red Cross bringing things from a county across the river into Philipstown when it's already here. It's just, it's wasteful.
Well, we didn't mind, I'm just saying,
Oh, no, no, no.
yeah,
It's-
I mean,
No,
Yeah.
not at all. But it's,
I spoke to Barbara on it was Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, Barbara, and she was as dumbfounded. She said, John, I can't figure it out. The only thing I could come up with was the proximity of your firehouse to Putnam Valley.
it could be, yeah.
But even that, what's it, another 2 miles?
Call the
It still would have been easier to go another. We have
Yeah.
a bus. We could have picked people up at Garrison Firehouse and brought them to the rec center. Amber,
we'll work the kinks out.
Just
Yeah.
if you look
I mean-
back to where we were during Sandy and how we were really on our own with that and what we did during that storm and our response and to just get overlooked completely. So
Well, we
I
just
think
want to make
there's
sure
more
the
to it.
communication lines are open between us and you guys.
absolutely.
And
Sandy, you have my
know.
number.
Okay,
Anytime,
yeah.
day or night.
Okay,
You know.
that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, Garrison Fire Department.
Okay, the next item is a resolution appointing the following to the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee: Sean Conway, Robert Rose, Lithgow Osborne, Terry Wavata, Joe Regelli, Joyce Bloom, Catherine Croft, Tara Carroll, Betsy Calhoun, Marianne Sullivan, and Richard Butinsky.
Tensky.
Nat, before we do the appointment, do you want to say anything or?
Sure, with Clay following after you. Yes, well, I just want to thank you for giving us the support that we need to make this comprehensive plan review work. We've enjoyed the support of Nancy and Mike and Bob Clare and all of you. Appointing these people gives them a sense of status and a feeling that we've got to get this job done at some point. I think everybody needs to be reminded that the comprehensive plan is something they can read right off the website, and it's actually lasted pretty well for the 10 or 12 years we've had it. Our early assessment is that it really doesn't need a wholesale rewrite. that there clearly are some things that have happened since then in the communications area, in the social issues area, that need some addressing. But I think the process is come along well. We're now going to reach out to each of the boards, start with them, and see what issues are on their mind in particular. So thank you for the opportunity to do this, and hopefully we'll have something done before too long.
Thank you, Nat.
I just have one question before we approve this. If there's other members that that want to join this, can they still join this? I mean, people come and go.
Bob, I think the answer is yes, they can.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. I
And
don't
I'm
wanna
sure we
close
could come
anybody out.
back to all of you with a few more names. There will be, I suspect if this takes the better part of this year, there will be people that will need to drop out, and there will be other people who raise their hands to join.
Right.
So yes, I think the answer is we have a good size of about a dozen people, and if we get twice that size, it'll be a little less manageable. But I think the natural course would say a couple people will drop out and a couple people will probably be added. And it is, in fact, open, and I'd be happy to receive any interest that anybody has. And I did bring along, we did do a press release that describes what the group is up to, and I'll just leave it right here. It's got my email address on it, and anybody who wants to be a part of this can be. And thank you guys, in particular Nancy, for coming to the meetings. We meet twice a month on the second and fourth Thursday, and we meet right here unless, of course, there's some other meeting going on at that point. And anybody who wants to hear what's going on with the updating of the comprehensive plan is very, very welcome on those occasions.
Thank you, Nat.
Yep.
With that, I'll entertain a resolution appointing the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye.
The next is a resolution authorizing a $500 donation to the Village of Cold Spring for the 2018 4th of July celebration.
Okay. We did this last year, helps offset the cost of the fireworks or whatever they want to put it toward, but it's a great day for the community, brings in a lot of business, and we're happy to support that. So with that, could I get a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I
I
vote
think
aye.
they're planning a little bigger celebration this year than they have in the past, so, they're looking at bringing back the parade and everything else, and
All right.
asking more people to participate in the parade, and other activities are going to be planned for as well. So they're looking to make it a little bit bigger than it has been in the past few years.
Nice. You ready to march?
I wonder if we could dress up.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, you could be Lady Liberty, like Betty used to do. All right.
Okay, the next item is the Code Enforcement Monthly Report. This is for the town. The fees collected was $11,256.50, 22 numbers of permits issued, 3 additions, alterations, or repairs to residential buildings, 1 addition, alteration, or repairs to commercial buildings, 19 all other permits, pools, sheds, decks, plumbing, HVAC, etc., 20 COs issued, 2 stop work orders issued, 2 inspections of public assembly, 2 inspections of commercial occupancies, and they also did a Butterfield ground floor build-out. And for the Village of Cold Spring, fees collected $550, 2 permits issued, 1 addition, alteration, or repairs to residential buildings, 1 addition, alteration, or repairs to the commercial buildings, 6 COs issued. And a project of significance, a review of the code for 9 Morris Avenue, request for a special permit to operate for a not-for-profit in R1 zone.
All right, our thanks to Greg Warner and the whole gang at the building department. Doing a bang-up job over there. We're in next Wednesday or
Next Wednesday, we have the public hearing on the Cold War veterans, local law, and we're meeting for the hearing on the wetland denial for Homeland.
Yep. And we're also gonna do an executive session for a brief period with, gonna be an attorney-client with Steve Gaba for pending litigation.
Okay.
So
So the meeting starts at 7 next week, and then 7:15.
6:30 or so? Should we meet?
Yeah, we should beforehand, before we come out, even before the public hearing. So if Steve can come at 6:30,
Okay, I gotta be here
The
then too.
11th, right?
yes.
Should make dinner.
Bring pizza.
What's that?
Should have dinner, 6:30.
I have to cook in the microwave downstairs. That's all I know how to
Wow.
do anyway.
That's your specialty, right?
This is exciting.
Right, Hudson?
Boy, this room's gonna be packed. We get burritos or like pigs in a
Yeah,
blanket?
Amy's burritos from the frozen section at Foodtown.
All right, so we'll be getting together next week, and then we can go from there.
I have one more thing to add.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You gonna make it?
I don't know.
I want you to read the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm getting hoarser and hoarser.
Carl wants another truck. No. Sure, why not? Yeah, we're on the subject of the pending litigation. They've been tortured long enough, they can ask a question, right?
Some of these are follow-up questions. I understand that Mr. Rice has been appointed by the insurance company to represent the town against Homeland Towers
This is correct.
and court. Do we know whether he has submitted anything in response to Homeland Towers?
He has submitted a response to their initial, the lawsuit, just saying we acknowledge it. We had, what do we have, 30 days to respond?
That's beyond the 30 now.
Well, we had
No,
already
no, They
responded.
did that.
You did.
They did
Yes.
that.
So we did that.
And what happens next?
Well, that's going to be a point of discussion at this executive session, and since it's pending litigation, I'm not really at liberty to start discussing it publicly right now, but we'll,
We have Andrew Campanelli involved in this.
in our executive session.
Well,
No,
no.
involved with the
Wait.
defense.
Wait.
With the
Hey,
defense.
hold on. Is it possible that Mr. Rice would accept co-counsel if it was privately paid for? Would the insurance company accept Mr. Campanelli's participation?
Well, our town attorney has put Mr. Rice in touch with Mr. Campanelli, so that is something, he has given him his information and made clear that Mr. Campanelli is open to consulting with him. So I don't know if Mr. Rice has spoken with him. We'll be finding out some of these details next Wednesday also.
Okay, but the public can't attend that.
The public can attend the public meeting, but the executive session, no. It's,
Yeah.
it's attorney.
Okay, one other question. The insurance company appointed Mr. Rice. Does Mr. Rice have any background fighting cell tower companies like Homeland Towers?
He's an insurance lawyer. We don't have to pay for that, so that's one reason
I understand.
I'm very pleased about that.
That's why if Mr. Campanelli was privately paid for, whether that would be acceptable to
Well,
the
we'll-
town and the insurance company.
I've brought this up with our attorney. We've given him Mr. Campanelli's information. Whether or not he reaches out to Mr. Campanelli is up to the insurance company. We don't tell them what to do. We give them
I understand
marching orders
that.
as far
I
as.
understand that. What I'm saying is, let's say that citizens are willing to pay for Mr. Campanelli to
If they
participate.
have a budding land to this
I-
specific thing.
And I hear what you're saying. As I said previously, we gave our insurance-appointed attorney, Mr. Campanelli's information. We let them know that it wouldn't cost the insurance company anything or the town anything to have him consult.
You did do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Just one other question then. The last time I was here, I had suggested making direct contact with Crown Towers, and a few of you thought that that was a good idea, and I wonder if that had been followed up on.
Has not yet. Next Wednesday will be instructive as to how we proceed.
Okay, but the second part of that meeting is open to the public?
Yes,
We
we'll be
can-
out, there's going to be a public hearing with regard to the denial of the wetlands permit, and
Okay.
maybe some comment as to,
Okay.
the
And
disposition of
thank you
things.
all for taking steps towards gun control.
All right, thank you.
I have that other thing.
Got Carl's thing.
Basically what it is, the resolution reads that the town board hereby approves the town of Philipstown enters an agreement between the town and Mojeski and Masters to complete the Bridge New York application for the Horton Road Bridge over Clow Creek in an amount not to exceed $6,400.
This is a firm that specializes in getting grants for bridges. They also do bridge design and all these things. So we have to replace a bridge on Horton Road. It's been flagged for several years, and we know that we're going to have to do this project just as we did the one on Avery Road last year. So it's a little more complicated on Horton Road due to some of the logistics, and the wing walls are in worse shape, but we're anticipating this is going to be about a $300,000 project, we're hoping. We're going to apply for a grant through Bridge New York and hopefully be successful with that. We feel we'll have a much better chance of being successful if we hire a professional firm to prepare the grant application. So we have this money in the highway budget. So with that, I would like the board to authorize the town to spend up to $6,400 to retain the services of, where am I here? Masters. Mojeski and Masters, Inc. Could I get a motion on the resolution?
Second.
All in favor? And I vote aye, thank you. So Carl can be happy now, and he can bring something in like up to midnight tonight, right? Officially. Anything else from the board?
Oh, yeah, just one thing. Last month, I looked into the recycling. We were used to be getting paid $15 a ton for the plastics and the papers we used to bring up there. Now, we're being charged $54 a ton. So I know we don't really have, we have got to think about this, how we can account for this. I don't know. I asked for records over how many tons we brought up to this place last year. I'm still waiting for that report, because we're going to base on some type of budgetary numbers to cover this going forward. They also indicated that $54 a ton could fluctuate month to month. That's nothing that they could go up, they could go, who knows where it could go. But, it's a big swing from getting money to now paying for it.
We're going to have to think about how we store it, because cardboard that gets wet is going to cost us, because we used to get paid more if it was heavier.
Right.
And now
Think
we-
about,
So,
We gotta,
maybe at the end of the day, we gotta put a tarp over top of that container or something like that,
maybe we
figure
can
something
fix the
out.
garage up there and back a container in there.
cardboard's got to be
Well, the only
indoors.
bad thing about that is how do people gonna get the stuff into the container? Right now, they drive up a ramp and don't put off. You know what I'm saying?
For $54 a ton, we're going to have to figure out.
I know,
some way to keep
just
it
saying, yeah, we gotta figure out a way, but I totally agree with you. If it gets wet, you're paying 5 times, 6 times the amount of money for especially newspaper, and cardboard absorbs a lot of water. And I'm sure if we bring it up there only once a month, it's definitely wet, no question about it. So anyway, just, once I get the report back from them, we'll have a better understanding of how much tonnage we bring up there per year and per month,
Great.
so.
Thanks for working on that, Bob. Anybody else? Anyone in the audience? Nobody. Claudio,
Hudson?
of course. Never miss a moment to get behind the mic, right?
I just want to thank the board for standing strong on getting the item number 1 on the agenda passed.
All right.
I think it was very interesting. I pointed it out in a wisecrack, but I think it's very true that the people who clapped and stood up were, to everyone in that group, was a local resident. And I recognize 1 or 2 of the other people wearing their NRA hats that are local, the rest are not. So thank you for listening to the community, listening to the locals, and doing what the town really wants.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for. We did get comments from as far away as Nebraska. So I had no idea that my authority was that far-reaching.
But they were all the same letter. So it's,
No, it wasn't, surprisingly.
it was all the
It
same
has some
letter.
vigorous
NRA.
debates online, though.
I guess
But-
I'm looking at my inbox now.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, we can clear that out.
I started organizing them into like that one that was just the same letter. We got dozens of those. It was obviously generated by a big money organization, and then the personal letters that were, and on both sides.
And
So
it started out as a New York State resident, New York State gun owner, and at the end, it would be an address from out of state.
yeah, a lot of them weren't signed. A lot of them didn't have an address. So
Aliens.
I started looking at, the names, and it was just like so overwhelming at one point. I was like, a lot of these names look like they're names of people that live here, but, when you actually look at the spelling, it's not. That's how, bad it got. I was looking at it too hard, I guess.
Well,
Yeah,
all right.
it's done.
Anything
Thank
else? All right.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for coming out.
To the
Vacancies, hooray!
We're not done yet.
Vacancies, Recreation Commission, 1. Continental Village Water District, 1.
We need a commissioner on the Recreation Commission.
Approval of vouchers, general.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? I vote aye. Highway,
So moved.
second. All in favor? I vote aye. Continental Village Park District.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Continental Village Water District.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye.
Anybody want a gun lock?